Which Bundesliga player should your favorite Premier League team buy? Let's talk about that. Hey everyone, it is Finn here. That is FYW, and I hope you guys are all doing super well. Are you guys doing good? That's good. So in today's video, we will be talking about the top 10 teams in the Premier League table and which Bundesliga player would help them out the most. Now, the reason I am only doing the top 10 teams instead of the whole 20 teams in the Premier League is because if I do all 20 teams, the video drags on a tiny bit. I mean, it gets a bit boring, I won't lie, and I do start to rush things, which isn't as enjoyable for you guys or for me. So if you guys do want a part 2 of this with the other Premier League teams, please do like this video and comment down below that you do want that so that I know you guys want that. In my previous video, someone asked me to do weekly Bundesliga videos, which, I mean, you guys have enjoyed my Bundesliga content lately, which if you guys want to see me do weekly Bundesliga prediction videos, please vote in the I thingy up above. If you do enjoy my content, please do subscribe because it helps me out a lot, and you know what, it's free, so why not? This Premier League team I have for you guys, 10th place on the Premier League table, is going to be Burnley. Now Burnley, you guys are a tiny bit unpredictable. We can all agree on that. People like to assume that they'll become bottom of the table, somewhere bottom of the table. But you know what? More than often enough, they do surprise us and come somewhere in the top half of the table, if not mid-table. Burnley can be a very surprising team. What kind of player or which player would help them out the most? Well, if we look at their team, I think their attacking has been superb this season, so I wouldn't say that's the main focus point or focal point for transfers. Defensively, I think they've been rock solid this season, and Nick Pope has done a superb job between the posts. Therefore, due to process of elimination, I would say they need a new midfielder. Now, yes, they did get rid of the great Danny Drinkwater, but you know what? Don't fear, I have a perfect replacement. I think that they do need an attacking midfielder, Burnley. I think that could be the missing solution, and this is going to be a weird one, but I'll go for the 28-year-old Wolfsburg from RB Leipzig. Now, I know, I said it's weird. Believe it or not, probably not the weirdest transfer in this video. Why do I think this is a somewhat realistic transfer for both player and team? Well, he is 28 years old. When you get to that point of your career, look, he's played majority of his career in Sweden, where he was from. He's played a few years, about 5 years now, in the Bundesliga. I think he's ready for a new challenge. When you get to 28 years old, you think, well, I've got a few more years at a top level of football. Let me play in the Premier League. Because let's be honest, who doesn't want to play in the Premier League? And along with that, I can't see a huge reason for him to stay at RB Leipzig. Yes, they are third. They've done very well this Bundesliga season. But he's not even getting into the starting lineup anymore for RB Leipzig because there are so many really good midfielders there. And especially lots of really good young midfielders that would be prioritized over him. He's only getting around 20 games per season, and he would be getting a lot more if he moved to a team like Burnley. And you know what? I have to make these transfers somewhat realistic because otherwise I could have just put Lewandowski in this Burnley team, which that's a no from me. Next team I have for you in 9th place on the Premier League table is Arsenal, which is that not a weird thing to hear? A team that used to be managed by the great Arsene Wenger, the team that was invincible for a whole Premier League season, is now 9th on the Premier League table. That is freaky, that is weird to hear. But when we look at Arsenal, I mean, their attack, I think their attack is solid, although it seems like Aubameyang's hair after coming back to training is still, you know, doing some social distancing. We look at their midfield, yeah, it's not great, especially since Aaron Ramsey left, but you know what, I wouldn't say that's a huge problem. Bernd Leno has had a lot of work to do for Arsenal and has genuinely saved them on multiple occasions. And look, it comes down to this. Arsenal, your defense is a train wreck. Anyone can see that, you guys know that, and I'll go for a new centre-back. And I'll go for the likes of Ginter. I think that is a very realistic one from Borussia Mönchengladbach. He is 26 years old and he has come out of an amazing season so far in the Bundesliga. Borussia Mönchengladbach currently 4th at the time of recording in the Bundesliga. He, as I have said, has done a solid job. And as a 26-year-old, you look at him and say, well, that's old enough for him to have some experience that he is a solid, sorted out centre-back that knows exactly what he's doing. And he's also young enough for him to say, you know what, I want to spend a few years somewhere else, you know. He is German centre-back, he obviously won the World Cup with Germany. I think that he would want to move to a Premier League side. And along with that, Arsenal have been known to have some great German centre-backs over the years. I mean, just look at Mustafi as an example. I think Ginter would be a really good solution for Arsenal's problems. I think he would link well to Bernd Leno, obviously the German link. And I think they only really need one centre-back at the moment because David Luiz, I think, could pair quite well with him. And a huge problem with David Luiz is I think his attacking element is great. But for a defender, you also need one who's really good defensively. Eighth on the Premier League table at the moment is Tottenham Hotspurs. Once again, what a weird one. Two Premier League giants and the likes of Arsenal and Spurs having horrible seasons. Let's hope that maybe they can rise again, but where do I think Spurs could improve their team? Look, defensively, it is getting a bit older, but they do have some really good young centre-backs in the likes of Davidson Sanchez and Tanganga. I don't think that's a huge problem for them at the moment. I mean, yes, maybe they could get new full-backs. Midfielders, maybe they could get a new attacking midfielder since Christian Eriksen left. But I have to say their main priority is a second choice striker. Just because Harry Kane is injured like 24/7. Spurs fans know that. Harry Kane knows that. It is very sad that he is always injured, but they do need a proper second choice striker because we've seen Tottenham Hotspurs really struggle when it comes to scoring when Harry Kane is injured. And along with that, Heung-min Son is a great left mid and can't always be relied on to replace Kane when Kane is injured. Lucas Moura is a better wing or attacking midfielder. And Bergwijn, well, he's just a wing. Therefore, as I said, second choice striker would be a good option. And who do I think it would be? I think Piatek, the Polish striker from Hertha Berlin, would be a great option. And I don't see why not. Hertha Berlin are currently 11th on the Bundesliga table. They are not doing well at all. And I think Piatek can really resurrect his career by moving to a team like Spurs. And it's not totally unrealistic. He was linked to them earlier this season, but ended up making that move to Hertha Berlin from AC Milan. And we all know, anyone who's been following the likes of Piatek knows that he did really well at Genoa. He is now 24 years old, so it is not too late. I think, look, he's had a few slow seasons at AC Milan, hasn't done super well at Hertha Berlin, and I think he can still resurrect at the young age of 24 by moving to a Premier League side. As I said, I think it is pretty realistic because he was linked there a few months ago, and I don't see why he wouldn't want to because Hertha Berlin aren't doing super well at the moment. Seventh on the Premier League table is Sheffield United, which, now that I think of it, how weird is that? Sheffield United, the newly promoted team that I thought would probably be 20th this season, is above both Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspurs this Premier League season. That is beyond weird. And looking at Sheffield United on where they can improve, I mean, look, they're looking like a team that could end up in Europa League. Where do I think that they could improve their team? Look, I think the whole team, they could have improvements pretty much everywhere. But if I had to think of one main focus point, Dean Henderson is ending his loan at Sheffield United probably by the end of the season, moving back to Manchester United. And without a really good goalkeeper, this team could really struggle. And that goes with any team. Without a really solid goalkeeper between the posts, a team will struggle. Therefore, I think that they should go for a kind of world-class yet under-the-radar goalkeeper at the moment. I think they should go for Timo Horn from Cologne. I know that's probably like the weirdest transfer I have on this list. That reasons Horn might want to move to the Premier League is, look, Cologne, he spent his entire career there, but they are 10th in the Bundesliga. They're not going to win anything this season. He is 27 years old, and for a goalkeeper, that's still pretty young. He can still spend about, well, just slightly less than a decade at a top club, and I think Sheffield United would be perfect for that. And it's not like he's a bad goalkeeper. I think he'd be a perfect signing. Yet, I don't think you'd be too expensive. We can't forget that Norwich got Farman in the beginning of the season, which I thought was pretty unrealistic, and West Ham got Halle. So I think anything's pretty realistic in comparison. And Timo Horn, once again, is a good goalkeeper. Because, I mean, 2-3 seasons ago, he was dubbed to be Germany's next great goalkeeper. And he was linked to Liverpool. Therefore, that shows the kind of class that he has. And as I said, 10th in the Bundesliga, I think that they could pick him up for a good price. 6th place, and it is going to be Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, I am a huge fan of this Wolverhampton Wanderers team. I think they're pretty solid all over the place. I mean, attack-wise, they've looked pretty good this Premier League season. And if you asked me in the beginning of the season, I would have said, hey, maybe a right wing. But Adama Traore has really made that position his own. Midfield, I think maybe one or two midfielders. But at the end of the day, I think they've got a pretty good partnership between Ruben Neves and Matinho. And then you look at their goalkeeper, solid goalkeeper. Defensively, when it comes to centre-backs, look, I think Wolverhampton Wanderers have got a good centre-back partnership or trio, whatever they choose. But I think that they could use one really good world-class centre-back. Look, at the end of the day, I think Ruben Dias from the Portuguese league would be the best fit. But if you look at Bundesliga players specifically, I would go for Akanji from Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund have had a great season, currently second in the Bundesliga. And the reason I think this is such a good transfer is the Switzerland defender is only 24 years old. He is still fairly young, and he's easily Borussia Dortmund's best centre-back at the moment. And when it comes to spending, when it comes to the transfer market in general, Borussia Dortmund are great. I mean, they sold Ousmane Dembele for £120 million and bought the likes of Thorgan Hazard, Haaland, Sancho, and had more than enough cash to spare after that. Therefore, I think they could sell Akanji to the Premier League for a good price and get a world-class centre-back in return. And along with that, 24 years old, I don't see why Wolves wouldn't. That's almost a good decade that they could have out of this centre-back. Fifth place is going to be my Manchester United. Now, Manchester United, since they got the likes of Bruno Fernandes in the attacking midfield, they've looked unstoppable. But I fear the day where Bruno Fernandes gets injured, because then what happens to Manchester United? That's why they need more players like him, because if you have a squad out of players like him, you're not going to be as scared. That's why you look at the likes of City, and when they lose an attacking midfielder or midfielder, they've still got solid options in the midfield, and that's what United need. And a huge talking point over the years is they need a right wing. Therefore, I'm going to go for the obvious Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho is only 20 years old and once again has done an amazing job for Borussia Dortmund this season. Currently in second place on the Bundesliga if you look at Jadon Sancho from last season. He got 12 goals and 14 assists, which is a mental stat, and that doesn't even compare to this season. This season he's got 14 goals and 16 assists. And that's 30 goal contributions with 10 less games than last season. He's still got about 10 games to add on to that. Jadon Sancho looks like he could have 20 goal contributions and 20 assists in one season. How incredible is that? He's looking like one of the best English right wings. Like he could genuinely be one of their best of all time if he continues at this rate. United, snatch him up before it's too late, and Chelsea take him, please. Talking about Chelsea themselves, they are in fourth place, and who do I think they should get? Look, I think their right wingers are getting old, and I do think that they could possibly get there. Midfielders, I think they've got a good midfield kind of partnership there. Look, we've been talking about them getting a new centre-back, but I didn't want to go with the typical, Chelsea need new defenders, because I think Tomori is really growing to be a really good player. I want to go for a new goalkeeper for Chelsea, and it's not because they have a bad goalkeeper. Look, I think Kepa Arrizabalaga is a good goalkeeper, but I don't think he has a healthy relationship for Chelsea, and there have been talks for quite a while of them already replacing Kepa Arrizabalaga. Although he's only been there for about 2 or 3 seasons, it's not healthy having that relationship between a player and the club itself. That is purely why I'm going to replace a goalkeeper, and I'm going to go for a Belgian goalkeeper in the likes of Casteels. Now, I know that might come across as a very, very weird transfer, but Casteels from Wolfsburg is a really good, solid goalkeeper. Currently 27 years old, so not the youngest goalkeeper in the league, but you could still get almost 10 years out of a goalkeeper like him. He has conceded the 3rd least amount of goals compared to any other Bundesliga this season. And in my books, that is very impressive, because Chelsea have not done well defensively this season, with one of the worst defensive records out of everyone, especially Kepa Arrizabalaga not really helping with that. That's why I think a new goalkeeper in the likes of Casteels could really help the case. They are currently 6th place Wolfsburg, and I don't really see them competing next season. Leicester City is 3rd place on this list, which, I mean, Leicester City, I'll personally apologize for you guys for not believing that you'll do this well this Premier League season. I thought you would be a mid-table side, but you guys, for a large portion of the season, seemed like the only team to be able to compete with Liverpool. You guys have looked very, very strong, and looking at Leicester, I love this Leicester team. One of the best Premier League goalkeepers, in my opinion. I think their defense has actually done a solid job compared to what I would think. Midfield wise, I think that they are sorted for a good few years. When you get to attackers, Jamie Vardy, heavily underrated, but I would go for a new left wing or left mid, because when you look at the wings, comes to mind Barnes has had a great season, but I think could still improve. And then you get the likes of Perez on the right mid. He could definitely improve as well, not the best in his position. And this is going to sound like a weird one, but I'm going to go for Kostic in the left midfield position from Eintracht Frankfurt. I know that is one of probably maybe my most bizarre transfer here. I think that would be a perfect one. I mean, the Serbian left midfielder has had some pretty good seasons at Eintracht Frankfurt. Last season, got 6 goals and 10 assists. This season, he's got 4 goals and 9 assists, which, yes, is lower, but in 10 less games, which he could easily beat that record. And I think he'll do a very good job linking up to the likes of Jamie Vardy. He is now 27 years old. And the reason I've picked somewhat of an older player is because I don't think they need him for that long. I think they only need a player for about 3 or 4 years, this Kostic player, while Barnes really develops into the player he needs to for Leicester City. And I don't see why Kostic wouldn't want to, because Frankfurt have had an awful season. They are currently 13th on the table, not at all where you would expect them. And as I said, Frankfurt seem to really sell out all their good players, so I don't see why Leicester City wouldn't be able to. I mean, last season alone, they sold the likes of Rebic, Jovic and Halle, so I don't see why they wouldn't sell another amazing attacker. Manchester City in second place. Now, Manchester City is a very hard club to look for improvements, because what player wants to move to a team that won't be in the Champions League for the next 2 seasons? I'm not sure if it's confirmed or not, but it's a huge possibility Man City won't be, and I don't think that would be attractive to lots of players. And the player I'm going to go for is a Upamecano. That is probably not how you pronounce it. A 21-year-old centre-back from RB Leipzig. Now, I know I'm picking lots of players out of RB Leipzig, but they've got so many really good young players, and I think he would be a really good fit for Manchester City, because looking at their team, they've got strong players all over the board, and there are talks, obviously, that David Silva will be leaving City at the end of the season. He has gotten old, but attacking midfield-wise, they've still got Kevin De Bruyne, the best attacking midfielder in the world, in my opinion, and I don't think they need to replace that. A new centre-back is definitely what's needed, because we've seen what they're like without Laporte this season. They really crumbled heavily, and I think they need a new centre-back, and I think that Upamecano would be a great one, because I mean, he gets that French link to Laporte anyway. He is still young. He is looking like one of the most promising centre-backs in the world at the moment for his age, and along with that, he's already come out of a great season with RB Leipzig. I don't see why they wouldn't get a player like him, and a young player at the age of 21. You could have him for easily a decade. And above and beyond that, a new centre-back. Look, ever since Vincent Kompany left, I do see that there have been some struggles in that position. We get to the final team in this list, and it is going to be Liverpool. Now, Liverpool have had pretty much a great season, but they did crumble. You know, in their most recent games, they haven't been doing that well. And if I look at Liverpool, I think it's a solid team. Normally, I would have said maybe another centre-back, but Joe Gomez has really started to rise to the occasion. If I look at this Liverpool team, the one thing I'd say it lacks is a really good attacking midfielder. And I've said that for quite some time now. Now, if I could get anyone for them, look, I know they've been linked to the likes of Timo Werner, but I don't necessarily think that's what they need to do quite yet. I'll go for an attacking midfielder and the likes of Kai Havertz. And the reason I think that is so promising, 20 years old, and he's already one of the best attacking midfielders in the world. I don't see why not. Leverkusen currently 5th in the Bundesliga. They are not looking strong, which, by the way, I recently made a video saying which Bundesliga team is most like your favorite Premier League team. Go check that out in the thingy up above. Last season, Kai Havertz from the attacking midfield position got 17 goals and 3 assists, which is exactly the kind of player that would fit into this Liverpool squad. Lots of goals, lots of assists, would fit perfectly into the squad. Look, he hasn't had that great a season so far. This season, only 8 goals and 5 assists. Not the best, but remember, there are still like 10 games left. And at the end of the day, a player who can get pretty much double digits in both goals and assists, I don't see why he wouldn't want to join. Pretty much, I would say Liverpool's the best team in the world at the moment on their day. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Once again, please do like this video if you did enjoy, and if you do want a part 2 to the series. Once again, I really do want to grow this channel, but that can only really be done if you guys help me. And as I said, it is free, so please do subscribe. I'd appreciate it so much, guys. But I do love every single one of you. You guys are awesome. Click those 2 videos on the side if you want to go check out those videos. This has been fun. I do appreciate every single one of you. Stay awesome. Cheers.